Hi, I'm Nate with Average Jack Archery Pro Shop and Range here in Phillipsburg, PA, and today we're talking my broadhead selections for 2024. But before I do that, can we just take a look at the new Huntworth Vertek pattern? And I know, sponsored video, it's not. I work for them. They're my full-time job. So much blood, sweat, and tears has gone into the Vertek pattern. Please check it out, huntworthgear.com. Lightweight, midweight, heavyweight, heat boost, windproof, waterproof, you name it, we're making it. So if you're expecting to see me pull out a 100 grain single bevel or some direct-to-consumer type of broadhead, you can just click away now. These are broadheads you can find in your local archery shop that you can support. You can buy from Lancaster Archery Supply, you can buy from Kinsey's or wherever else you might get your archery equipment. These are what you're going to be able to find. These are some of the most reliable broadheads that I've found in my own experience on the market. Arrow number 1. Grim Reaper. This is the Fatal Steel, one of the most reliable broadheads that Grim Reaper makes. It is a 3-blade broadhead. They do make the Fatal Steel in a litany of different sizes and configurations. Just look at that. As you can probably tell from the red foam inside of it, I have even practiced with this broadhead into a Morel high roller target, and it has done just fine. It's still opening and closing perfectly fine. Zero issues in that regard. Now, I wouldn't hunt with it. I've dulled the blades by practicing with it, but it's still a very reliable head. The Fatal Steel comes from the all-steel construction, so it comes down to what they call their Pro Series point. It's basically a cut-on-contact point, even though it doesn't look like it, and the blades sit far back from the points. That means the point starts cutting, and then the blades then fold over. Now, a lot of people might say, I don't like the over-the-top mechanical where the blade has to literally fold back over the top of the ferrule, the shank of the broadhead. A lot of people don't like that. A lot of people like a rear deploying broadhead. But the over-the-top mechanical has been around since mechanicals were legalized, and Grim Reaper has been making over-top mechanicals for decades in exactly this design. It has a spring cup on the inside. It's all steel. There's no rubber bands, no O-rings, no plastic collars holding anything in place. Nothing you have to replace or worry about breaking while you're in the field. That is the last thing I want to do, is trust a little piece of rubber or a little piece of plastic on my entire hunt. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. Steel on steel, great cutting surface diameter. Most of the Fatal Steels are about 1.5 inches, which is perfect. That's a good sweet spot. 1.5 inches to about 1.25 inches is a really good diameter for a mechanical broadhead. You can push that with 55, 60, 65, 70 pounds with the right draw length and the right arrow weight. You don't want to shoot something super light and fast, but the Grim Reaper Fatal Steel, if you're looking for a 3-blade mechanical, it's going to be one of my choices. Arrow number 2. Oh, we have the Black Hornet from Magnus Broadheads, and just look at this thing. The Black Hornet might be my favorite broadhead for Magnus of all time. This and the Buzz Cut, which is in this boot hidden somewhere. We'll get to it. It is 1.25 inches by 7/8 and an 0.59 thickness main blade. It is completely, you can tear it down, you can resharpen it with whatever sharpening system you have, and it comes with a Magnus unconditional lifetime warranty. You ding, dent, scratch, break, chip, anything, Magnus replaces it, no questions asked. All you have to do is send an email with a picture of the damaged broadhead to customer service at magnusbroadheads.com, and Mike Som, who's been the owner since 1984, 1985, will definitely send you a new one. Their customer service is through the roof. I have killed a pile of animals with the Black Hornet. It becomes one of my all-time flying heads. It's super easy to tune. It's a very forgiving fixed blade. I personally like 4-blade fixed blade over a 3-blade fixed blade. And they make them in 100, 125, which is what I personally shoot, or they make them in an all-steel 150. And not only do they make them in the straight edge version, they also make them in a serrated or the serrazer version. Both are legal as far as I know across all states because they're not barbed, and both of them just leave wicked blood trails. I get asked that all the time about Magnus heads. Do you shoot the straight edge or the serrated? Do you see a blood trail difference, a bone-breaking difference with each? I see no difference between either one of them. They both fly super true. They both have great blood trails. Definitely check out the Magnus Black Hornet. Arrow number 3. We have another Grim Reaper, and this one is the Mini Mag, which is inarguably my favorite head from Grim Reaper. So like I said with the Black Hornet and a 4-blade fixed blade, I actually like the same thing for mechanicals as well. Now this one has also been my practice head, so the blades are a little bit loose because it's gone through a few foam targets. But it is a super short, compact head. Now the 100 grain version is even shorter and more compact than the 125. I shoot 125 grain broadheads across the board. Still the same idea as the Fatal Steel. It's still the same steel spring cup, no O-rings, no rubber bands, no plastic parts and retaining clips and all that nonsense. It's all held under there with spring, with tension, with the retaining clips. The Mini Mag has shot my biggest buck to date here in Pennsylvania, about 25 yards, went almost through the knuckle on the near side, right down through the heart. And the reason it didn't make it all the way through the animal is because there was a tree behind him and it punctured into that, and then he snapped the arrow in half as he ran off, and he made it about 100 yards. The Mini Mag continues to be a top seller for me in my store. It is 1 1/4 inch by 1 1/4 inch. So even though it is a 4-blade, it's not a super big 4-blade, but you get a really nice square hole, a really good blood trail, and really good performance. And if you're ever worried about a blade shearing off, which I've never had that with the Grim Reaper, or something dulling or bending, you still have 3 blades that are cutting at 1 1/4 inch plus the other side. So definitely a really strong, really fantastic head from Grim Reaper, the Mini Mag. There's only 2 left. Which one is it going to be? The Magnus Buzz Cut and 125 grain. This one has also seen a bunch of practice, and it's covered in that Morel High Roller red foam. So the Buzz Cut, or the Stinger, which is the straight edge version of this head, have been around, gosh, I don't even want to know how many decades. Mike Son's been producing this head out of Great Bend, Kansas. So this is like your, if Fred Bear was to shoot a broadhead, he would approve of this one. It is still a 4-blade broadhead. Like I said, they do sell it in a straight edge and a serrated version. Now, I have no problems touching the blades on both this and that Black Hornet because they've been my practice head and they've dulled up. But right out of the package, both this and the Black Hornet are some of, if not the sharpest broadheads I've ever felt in a fixed blade right out of the package. Still can remove with the #1 Phillips screwdriver. You can resharpen them yourselves. Everything is fine. Still comes with that lifetime Magnus warranty. Now, this is where people ask about that straightened versus serrated. In the Buzz Cut, I like the serrated version. In the Black Hornet, I like the straight edge. Don't ask me why. That's just what I prefer to shoot. I have killed my biggest deer in the state of Indiana with this broadhead, about 25 yards. He ran about 70 yards and piled up in a cut cornfield. It's just been a great performing head. I've been shooting this head of all the broadheads I've ever shot. The Stinger Buzz Cut in 100 or 125 grain. They also make them in a 150. Has been my #1 used head. I've been using this head for, gosh, almost 20 years now. It's just a really well-built, solid head. That lifetime warranty is to die for, and quite frankly, being an American-made company, I don't see why you want anything else. So I know what the last one is in here, and it might surprise some of you, and it's the good old Slick Trick Standard. And you're like, Nate, the Slick Trick Standard, really? So as you might have been able to tell, this one also has red foam of it because it is one of my practice heads. I carted this one particularly around the woods, not this one, it's Fresh Brothers out of the package. I did cart this one around the woods and had great success in terms of flight and tuning, super easy, and a lot of people have plenty of success proven taking African game, North American big game, whitetails, turkeys, you name it. It's a very successful head. It gets a bad rap because it's only 1 inch by 1 inch, but the reason I have it in here is because when you need a small cutting diameter broadhead with superior flight, so maybe you're shooting a crossbow that's really fast and you want to shoot a fixed blade because you're worried about a mechanical opening up in flight, you have a lady, you have a youth archer that's getting into bow hunting, and you want a really small cut fixed blade with good flight characteristics, it's really tough to beat a Slick Trick just based on how small the head is. Now, you can still shoot a lot of these other fixed blades I mentioned, like the Black Hornet, like the Stinger or the Buzz Cut. You can still shoot those out of those lower poundage, slower bows. Not an issue, but it's really hard to beat how small and compact and all steel. This is one-piece machined steel ferrule. It is a bone crusher. It's not a cut on contact tip. It is kind of a trocar style tip, but it is one of the best flying and best penetrating heads. Now, some people have complained about blood trails. Well, hit them better. I don't know what to tell you. Any person I know that I've sold this to, or the Viper Trick, or the Grizz Trick, or the Slick Trick Magnum, has had great blood trails, has had great success, full pass-throughs, never once complained about penetration, and because of that, it makes my list. Now, some honorable mentions that I don't have here listed at my house is the QAD Exodus for a fixed blade. It's really tough to beat a QAD Exodus in either the full or the swept back. I do sell a pile of them in my store. I've never personally screwed one onto an arrow. but every single person that has purchased them for me, or I've read about or seen, has had been a tremendous product for them. Now, QAD also makes really good rests, veteran owned, out of the state of Virginia, all American made product. It's really tough to go wrong with a product that's built like that. So definitely check out the QAD Exodus if you're super interested. Another mechanical head that I don't have listed here, and this is going to get some pushback, but I've seen really good results with it, is the Schwacker. Now, a Schwacker in a smaller cut, not the big 2 and change ones, the smaller cutting Schwackers. A lot of guys have had good success with them. Now, my biggest complaint and why they're not on my top list is that if you don't get a pass through, that initial entrance hole is quite small. But they have been razor sharp out of the package. The guys that have gotten full pass throughs, the deer don't even act like they've been hit. They run like 40 yards and just fall over right there in sight. So if you can get a good pass through, you're pushing enough arrow weight and enough poundage and draw length, give the Schwacker a shot. If you're thinking of having a bigger cut, just single 2-blade mechanical. So that's all for this video on my top broadhead selections for 2024. I'm sure you're down in the comments right now telling me I'm an idiot for missing out broadhead A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and that's totally fine. Drop those comments down below. Send me a message. Average Jack Archery. Find me on Facebook and Instagram. You can always send me an email, averagejackarchery@gmail.com, or you can even stop by the shop in 21 North Front Street in Phillipsburg, PA. Hope you're able to get outside and enjoy the sport of archery. Archery hunting, if you so choose. Definitely enjoy God's beautiful creation, and we'll get to see you next time.